So hi everyone, I am Tish Hicks. I am the Master Sensei of the VO Dojo here in Burbank, California. And this is our monthly free question and answer webinar called Ask the Sensei. So each month myself, our techno sensei Dan Lenard, and an esteemed colleague of ours, and speak of the devil, it is an esteemed colleague of ours, Melanie Thomas. We ask someone who is one of our colleagues working in the business to come and join us and answer questions. We have one tight hour and we answer as many questions as we can. And we like to bring in, there's Mel, we like to bring in people who have different perspectives on either different genres or different aspects of the business. So Dan will be with us in just a few seconds. So if you have tech questions, we will get to them.
I'm no good with tech questions, so please don't ask me.
we have no expectations. That's why Dan is here.
My advice is put a few blankets up. So
yeah. So that is me. And let me introduce our guest sensei, Melanie Thomas. Melanie has been a part of my voiceover team for a really long time, starting at Abrams Artist when she just started, and then she became an agent. She's been my agent for a long, long time, and now she is my manager as well.
Not too long.
Yeah, so Mel, welcome. While we're waiting for Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what we're up to? And we've got some questions queued up so we can get started anytime. But welcome. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you, Tish. It's so lovely to see your lovely face. It's been a while. So I changed my hair color, by the way. So it's already been through blonde and all sorts of different colors. I'm sure everyone's experimenting right now. They work from home and don't really need to see anyone or impress anybody. So just, in the mirror. But yeah, I started in so long ago. No, just a quick 12 years at Abrams. I started in the mailroom, if anyone's interested. It was quite a time. It was right before the writer's strike. And do you remember Jeffrey? Do you remember Jeffrey, Tish? He recommended that if I didn't want my to get fired, because everyone in the mailroom was getting fired, that I should go down to voiceover, and my life has changed.
And so it began.
Yeah, and so it began. It was quite a lark. I didn't know what voiceover was. Still getting used to it. It's still an interesting prospect to work in voiceover, especially during these times. I'm sure everyone has experienced either good things or bad things during this pandemic, but during this pandemic, voiceover has seemed to be pretty resilient. And I'm always grateful that I started in voiceover because it's a technology forward type of industry. It is an entrepreneurial type industry. I don't know any on-camera actors who can just go out there and make their own money. You have to have productions and you need to have casting directors, and voiceover is so interesting because you can get out there and do it on your own and you can make as much money and put as much work in as you want. I mean, of course, we'd all like to make more money, but there's definitely a relation between how much you put into it and how much you get out of it. So it's interesting to see that so many people have figured that out. And you can, it's a pretty flexible business. And of course, there's it used to be only union. I used to work only on union, and now non-union is kind of a thing. But it goes hand in hand. They need to have union. They need to have non-union. Some productions. So
and just so you know, Mel, just looking at the poll, we start with a poll just to get a sense of where everyone's at, so we can calibrate where we're answering questions. It looks like most of the people on the class on this call are either on their journey taking classes or have representation or booking. So we can also be talking about things at that level, like assuming that people
On their way. Nobody's,
Yeah.
this is not their first voiceover experience, hopefully today.
No. And I think, I think one of the things that's really interesting about having a manager here, which is a little bit different than an agent, and that, that in terms of our relationship, we've had experience as both. So we, just articulate that. But I think it's an interesting place. It's an interesting next development once you reach a certain place. So that, can you talk a little bit about that? And hi, Dan, we'll introduce you in a second.
How are you?
I'm good.
Why don't we introduce Dan, and then we'll come back to that question, and then
Sure.
We'll start off the questions with that. But Dan, hi, honey. So glad you could be here. If you want to introduce yourself. And
Certainly. Yes, I'm Dan Lenard, the home studio master, here to answer questions about home studios and to get you guys to stop going onto Facebook and LinkedIn forums trying to look for information and asking what's the best microphone for voiceover.
Well, we might have some advanced tech questions here, because it does seem like people are well on their way on this call. And for the 1%, we'll answer your questions too as well. So don't worry. Dojo is all about from I don't know to working pro. So we got you all covered. Well, Mel, let's start with this. Let's start with my question, and then we'll get to the questions that we have. How, in you having the personal experience, how would you differentiate what an agent does and what a manager does, and anything else you want to share about that?
I'm going to differentiate even further, which is what's the difference between a voiceover manager and a theatrical manager. As an agent, I had a lot of clients, a ton. Just the more, the merrier. The more bodies they can throw at it, the more voices I could throw at it, the better. You never knew who your next star was going to be. So you wanted to really cultivate and seek those new talent that either are just getting into the business. Not that any agency is a starting point. There's also another level below, not below, but before that, which is, getting your mic set up, getting some classes. So at that point, when you're at an agency, you're either just beginning and you got some talent and you've got some spark there. And then you've also had some experience, because no one wants to walk into the booth and not know what to do, especially if agency is representing you or going to meet you. You want to have that under your belt first. You want to walk into that booth and not be nervous. That's the number one thing. So just the difference between an agent is I just had a lot of projects. I didn't focus in so much on certain clients, or there were, of course, top tier clients, but then the attention was divided among all sorts of different people. So you would have a lot of different projects, have a lot of different things going on. Now, a manager, what typically a voiceover manager does, and this is typical of anyone like Cope or Jason Marks, or I'm trying to think of some other managers, Paul Whitner. Paul Whitner's more in the trailer game. Is that we take only a select few clients, the people who are really at the top of their game, and then try to extend their career even further, deeper into what they can do to maximize their time, their talent, have them more exposed to different type of opportunities. That's the type of thing we're trying to do and attempting to do. ACM started as mostly a promo trailer narration type place, but now we've expanded into commercial, and it's interesting to see that even despite not having the same amount of clients, we still have the same success rate in terms of picking and choosing clients. So it doesn't, the agency model is great for trying to find and cultivate new talent, but managers is trying to refine that one person who's really trying to push through to the top and become those six-figure clients. So if you're right at the beginning of your career, you're probably making very first year, 20,000, maybe if you're lucky. And you want to graduate up to 60. And then of course, when you've made it, you want to, 100K a year, and that's possible for anyone now, even working on their own. Just to graduate up to those different tiers of, okay, how do I want to make a career out of this? Do I want to do this full time? Is this something I do in between commercial auditions? Am I a full-time voiceover artist? What did my mom think about that? I need to go back home to the during the holidays and make enough money to make sure everyone knows I'm doing okay. So you actually have a career going.
So the idea of a manager comes after you've reached a certain level of having your business in gear.
And you're 100%.
Is that accurate?
Yes, 100% full throttle. Nothing else is happening unless you really you're a great painter and you want to make a living doing that. That's fine too. But it's a lot of our clients are 100%. 150% voiceover actors. They don't do anything else. They don't focus on anything else. Whereas agencies can have a little leeway. I do this too, and I'm on camera and I do this as well. Management's just for the serious voice actor.
Cool. Well, that's a good place to start. Well, let's get to your questions, because we do like to keep it a tight hour and we want to answer as many. So Pranchu, hello Pranchu. Pranchu's in our nth degree program. Pranchu asks, after getting representation, what are concrete actions I can take to build my business?
After getting representation at an agency?
Yes.
All right. Well, concrete to build your business with the agency, deliver your auditions on time, communicate with your agent. I think if I'm going forward, how to build it on your own, I would say start capitalizing on that new connection that you have, that new pedigree. It's all about pedigrees with voiceover. Pedigrees are, you have a microphone. Okay, that's one pedigree. Now what kind of microphone do you have? What kind of home setup do you have? What things have you booked? Who are you represented by? You start using those things as your pedigrees, your things that you advertise yourself as. And it's just like little bits here and there. And you start accumulating these pedigrees about yourself. So that way you can appear, start growing your business. I would say the smartest thing you can do is start representing yourself as a serious voice actor on LinkedIn. Add that to your repertoire of I'm rep by these people. It doesn't matter so much on the voiceover casting websites like I call it VDN, but voices.com or Voice123. That's something you kind of do on your side. But if you want to build it with your agent, you want to just kind of start building that and start building your reputation as a serious voice actor. Now, in terms of building your career, as soon as you get representation, I would say as much face time as you can get with your representative without becoming like need to talk to them every day, but definitely have that face time, because I speak as an agent who has to, I used to pick and choose who used to go on the auditions, and the people who stood out to me the most obviously were the people who were the most talented, but people kind of stuck in my brain. I saw them every day. They might not book everything, but they were in my brain. So I know, top of mind. I mean, it's every little thing. There's people I never saw and I still remember them. So it's just every little thing. But if you're just starting with an agent, I would say be respectful of their time, but remind them, hey, I'm doing this. Do you have any feedback about that? And they might not respond right away, or they might be super busy and not get back to you, but the email is worth it because they see your email and your name pop up. So I think that's important to remind them that you're working on stuff, that you are a valuable asset to their team, that you're out there, you're putting yourself out there, you're getting education, you're honing your talents, you're trying to make something of yourself. That makes you valuable.
And I also think the more that you can understand that you're running your business and you choose your agency, so your agency is the team that you've chosen, so you are respectful of your team, but you also don't need to defer, right? Like, hi, we're on a team, we're making money together. What are we up to? Here's what I'm up to. What are you up to? Here's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? How can you help me? How can I help you?
Yeah, and there might be someone who might there might be someone who doesn't, they might not respond, but just seeing the name actually helps a lot. So you're not being annoying. It's just, they might be really busy. They see your name, but you just can't respond all the time. So it's useful information. So anything, it's like in marketing, it's not, they have to make an immediate connection, have the be like this all the time. It's just name recognition, basically. So that's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, cool. So you started answering this. Angela Simpson asks, how much experience should an artist have before you would consider representing them as a manager, right?
As a manager, well, because we send every opportunity to everyone. I have the philosophy, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit. I have the philosophy that everyone's right for every job. It just is a matter of making the right fit. So with our management system, we send most opportunities to everybody. Doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter what background they have. I'm going to sidetrack a little bit. So we try to send as much as possible. So you need to be ready for the deluge of auditions.
No kidding. No kidding. Yeah.
You need to be ready. So you don't have to be like, I have 10 years under my belt. I booked 100 things. You just need to be ready to learn and to just go with the punches and try to work on it. And sometimes I'll say this just as an experienced agent, it's not always the most experienced person that books a job. Sometimes it's that fresh talent who sounds like, oh, they haven't done this a million times. So we're always looking for that too. So it doesn't matter. You just need to be ready. You need to be ready with different tools. And so I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah.
One of the things I say at the dojo is, in order to break into voiceover, you need to be able to get on the freeway going 85 miles an hour with people who've been driving the Autobahn for 25 years. Can you do it? Yes. Can you do it on a scooter? No. And so what you're saying is the management level is people who have been either have been on the ready, they're Autobahn ready, right? Mm-hmm. Be ready to get on the Autobahn.
Right.
And then whatever that means in terms of how confident you are as a driver, what is your vehicle, metaphorically speaking, what is your vehicle like? Are you ready to go that fast? Can you control your car going that fast, right?
Right. Exactly. And when you're ready,
that's an interesting way to look at it.
Driving on the Autobahn is scary, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think that metaphor is pretty good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then let's there's a tech question that Angela has as well. So let's piggyback that. Dan, where are you now? Some Emporium.
I need to remember Edison's laboratory.
This is my workshop.
So here's a tech question for Dan that Angela also asks. I have a newer NEEWER NW8000 USB 192 kilohertz 24-bit plug-in and play computer cardioid condenser mic plugged into a iMac desktop, getting a high-pitched tone. Anything I can do to fix this?
Oh, absolutely. Don't use that microphone. That's a $42 USB microphone that is meant to look like something that it is not. It is essentially an old Radio Shack electret condenser microphone that you might use it with a cassette recorder shoved into a body that looks like a studio condenser mic, and it is not. It is just it is basic garbage. And at $40, that's about $150 less than you should spend for a microphone, and there's no way that that's going to produce the kind of audio that you want. So you really do need to have a regular studio condenser microphone and a separate digital interface to have the right quality audio that you require. And, I mean, I usually say anything over $150 for a definite studio condenser microphone as opposed to an electret condenser microphone. $150 for that. You can get an interface from anywhere from $110 to $150 that will suffice far more than the newer and a bunch of other Chinese made pieces of garbage. Essentially, they are. If you buy something on Facebook, you are in trouble. Do not buy stuff off of Facebook. Do not go fall for those ads. Those things are going to hurt you, not help you. And they're probably great for a Zoom call, but not for doing voiceover. Because you'll get the
right, so they might be effective for something else, but not at the level. Yeah. And I think it's interesting with the pandemic. It's also been, that we would say, as you develop. Sorry, the dog is protecting us from the mailman. We would say, evolve your equipment. So, get a USB mic to get audition quality stuff. But really now, figuring out how to invest in something that brings any place you're working up to able to do a session is kind of important. The good news is that the price of a good mic and a setup is like ever less, right, in terms of getting something that's solidly able to deliver. But because you were just saying, Dan, like the $200 range should.
Right. And here's the thing about studio condenser mics. The more expensive the mic you buy, the more sensitive it is. So the more critical the environment in which you record becomes. So it's far more important to have an environment that is right, that is determined by someone professional to have the right acoustic environment in order to record. But as a general rule, any studio condenser mic at around $150 to $200 will maybe the only mic you ever need. And to think that you're going to trade your way up to a better microphone that's going to change the way you read copy is kind of not thinking in the way you should. It's not the equipment that gets you work. It's that big blob between your ears and what comes out your mouth. And the right environment, proper microphone technique, and setting proper levels. The rest is all gobbledygook geek talk and has diddly squat to do with voiceover.
Excellent. And there it is. There it is. Awesome. Let's see. Tara, who is in our Dojo Weekly Workout, what particular material should we have ready? For example, specific demos when submitting to agents or talent managers?
I assume that question is for me.
Yeah, or we can all chime in. Yeah.
Demo, the number one demo is commercial demo. Number one. If you have a promo demo, great. I can speak from experience that unless you are a huge animation star, if you haven't booked any animation and you have a video, I would not bother with doing an animation or video game reel.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, when you're first submitting, I mean, it's great if you. It's kind of hard. I mean, I like to say one answer, and I'd like to give you one answer for every situation. But I would say most agents do not like animation demos unless you really got something special. Like you're it. You're the next animation star. Because number one, a lot of them sound fake, and if they're not real, then it just doesn't sound right. Commercial, you can fake it a little bit more, and you're more likely to book that stuff. And that's the moneymaker at this point. Commercial. Don't even bother with a video game audition. I think your acting chops alone will get you somewhere in that video game realm. And if you're submitting to an agency where they're like, kind of like DPN, where they really have segmented departments where commercial is commercial, trailer is trailer. If you're a trailer star, it doesn't mean you're actually going to get any commercial work. DPN is a very successful agency, so I don't want to criticize how they do things, but it's how most agencies work, is that if you're an animation star, then yes, you're very lucky to get commercial work. So I would start with commercial because most people want to make money, and commercials where the money's at right now, unless, again, like I mentioned, you're making tons of money and you're, huge success, and you're making $500,000 per video game or something. So I would start with commercial, and my number one pet peeve personally is I don't like any chocolate spots on female commercial demos because it just sounds so cheesy. Like, you know, the chocolate spot. I don't like that. If you're a female, stay away from sexy. That's so 1990s. So.
Interesting. So I'm also hearing trends.
Yeah.
I'm hearing know the agency that you're submitting to. Yeah. And I'm also hearing implied is a commercial demo gives a sense of you and what you're bringing, then start building relationship and let your agency know what else you want to do. And then you can start getting opportunities. Because I think it's always frustrating when you're, you know, if most people have demos and representation so far, so you might have the thing. So then how do you, if you have ambition, if your intention is, I'm in the animation, I'm working consistently, I'm a rock star in the animation realm, where do you make that leap? But you're saying it's not so much about the demo as having the relationship and building, or bringing something to.
If you're legitimately working video games, I would say yes, present that as your number one, is another asset. So there's when you're submitting to an agency, you need to build what you can bring to them. Number one is, of course, money. Money is number one. Like, if you're already working, great. How can we capitalize on what you're already doing and build on that? If it's a good agency, they want to build on that. They don't want to take it from you. They want to help you build that and see, oh, that's a great starting point. Let's build on that. So it's whatever is making you the most money at that moment. But if you're just starting out, and I would say commercial is the best because I use commercial demos for promo pitches. I use commercial demos for narration pitches. I use all sorts of things because it's often the most conversational and the most silly at the same time. So if they want an actor, they can typically tell, like, well, how well do you sell that Subaru, right? They can usually tell, like, okay, are you authentic sounding? Do you sound real? Because that's the litmus test right there. And then we can go from there. So that's usually your stepping stone. So, yeah.
Cool. Anonymous asks, I submitted to ACM in the summer and never heard a peep. Is it okay to follow up, or is no news bad news?
Oh gosh. I'm not in charge of such things. So, you would hear back from me. Now, it's either because we have so many people submitting every day. Each submission has gone through. So Mark Gus is the one who really is in charge of that. Sorry, Mark, I'm throwing you under the bus, but he's typically the one who doles out, okay, are we interested?
And he had a new human come this summer too. So he had something in mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So and
Phil too. Yeah. Phil is in charge of that too. So it's not just Mark who's maybe preoccupied. Right. But it's mostly Mark. He's texting me on Thanksgiving. So he's
nothing stops him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's up all night and on the phone call the next morning, and with the baby. So, but I would say if you did not hear back, it's either because we discussed internally and we were not going to move forward. Most agencies don't reach out to you if it's a no, because who wants to have that conversation?
Right.
And it often can be a mire of a conversation. Well, what can we do? Like, well, that's your job to figure it out. But it's that's why we have these phone calls, so that you can help yourself and figure out what to do. So if we haven't gotten back to you, I would say it's probably a no. Always resubmit. Keep on resubmitting, but only resubmit if you have some new material or something new to say. It's same story. Yeah.
And I think in general, we at the dojo, we talk about the get the cookie mentality. So if you ask once and no one either, and you didn't get a response, then politely ask again, and then maybe you'll get a response or not. But if you ask a couple of times and there's no answer, then she's just not that into you. And then go ask somebody else. So don't get, I think it's getting in the habit of do you have what you need yet? Okay, cool. And then finding the balance of being able to be like, okay, cool. But ask definitely more than once.
Yeah. This is not to discourage anyone. There's been tons of times when I've talked to someone, it's not just a submission. And I said, it's no right now, but it's not a no forever. So, Hunter Peterson's a good example. I spoke to him in the very beginning when I first started at ACM. And
who are you talking about?
Oh, a client of mine this is one example.
Oh, okay. I thought you said a specific name. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Hunter, he submitted, and I was interested at the moment because I didn't know how he would fit in. He was a nice person. I really liked the cut of his jib. He seemed cool. Mm-hmm. He was very respectful and nice. And I said, I'm going to follow up in 6 months and see where we're at. And in 6 months, I said, okay, this is a yes now. And so it's been a great experience so far. And I'm really happy that we joined forces, but it was a no at first. And I understand that it's not always a yes all the time at this, right when, who knows, you got me in a day where, I don't know, something's happening and I'm over it. So I'm over it. I don't want to sign anybody new. It's a lot, there's too much going on. I have enough issues and things like that. Or I'm having a great day and I want to be accepting and everybody's different. You know how you are and how you feel about certain things on different days. So you could catch me on a good day or a bad day. Who knows? I have a lot of good days. So, there's an occasional bad day where you just catch me and I'm like, okay, can't do it.
And then I think there's also inherent is that each office has there's different ways that that people are taken on, that it needs to be unanimous or, that there's other people than one person.
Yes, exactly. I have to pass everyone through. Everybody else. And it's mostly yes. If I like somebody, they're going to say, okay, I can see if you like them, there must be something. But sometimes it's a no. Mm-hmm. So they're like, nah, and we don't like them. They sound weird or something like that. So.
Here's another tech question, Dan. Do you recommend any particular DAW? I've been using Audacity and ready to upgrade, specifically interested in non-destructive editing.
Oh, okay.
In regard to audiobooks.
Here's what we call somebody trying to edited. Yeah, here's lots of gobbledygook terminology being thrown out there. If you don't know what something does, don't use it. It's not having these things that makes you good at voiceover. It's knowing how to use them. And, if when it comes to software, people need to understand that even the most expensive software like Pro Tools doesn't sound any different from Audacity. They do the exact same thing. All that's going on is your microphone. Here, let me show you my microphone here. Start video and boom. Any microphone like this is going to pick you up just fine. And it takes the analog electrical signal that it produces, throws it into a digital interface that turns it into ones and zeros that your computer can understand. And each one of these DAWs, all of these software packages that in platforms you can get, all do the exact same thing. They take those ones and zeros and interpret it into the graphic representation of what it is you're working on. They don't sound any different. What a lot of the more expensive packages have is lots of plugins that you should have absolutely nothing to do with, especially if you don't know what it does, what it's supposed to sound like, whistle, little acronym I created. And, if you're trying to satisfy your own ears and create great audio, one, you'll never get an agent. Two, you'll never have to book any work, because what we're seeing, and I'm sure Melanie may agree with me on this when she hears demos and hears people recording, is we keep seeing all these specs and say, no announcers. It's because people are throwing all of this compression and all of this stuff that geeks are throwing at them, saying, oh, this makes me sound great. This makes me, who cares what makes you sound great? The only thing you're supposed to be doing is sounding like you. The idea of your home voiceover studio is not to sound great. If you're a good voice actor, you already sound great.
So what you're saying is upgrading a DAW is finding the interface that makes sense to you, recognizing what you need to do. I think one of the things, so it's not that one is better than the other, it's what's capable, and in all of them,
it's more than anything, it's workflow. What does
workflow, there we go.
Best for you. But in the long run, none of these DAWs actually sound different from each other if you are recording right up front, which is what we're constantly trying to teach people is forget about the technology, keep it simple, and make sure your levels are right, your acoustics are right, and your mic technique is right, and the rest of it takes care of itself because engineers don't want you futzing with it. So the more stuff that you have within software, the more problems you're going to cause yourself.
Right. I had to decompress so many things. I mean, it does not sound good.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And you have to decompress. There's people whose files come in, they're like this thick. Like you look at the wave and it's just like, it looks like a brick. And it does not sound good. I always tell people, think of you're in a huge room with a bunch of execs and they're all playing it for their clients. And what's going to sound the best? A huge booming voice or something more intimate and saying, okay, I'm just saying it. So the more compression you throw at it, I know it makes your voice sound better, but they're not looking for that. They'll compress it, decompress it, make it sound better. They'll fix what they want to fix. As long as you're just coming across authentic, that's the most important thing. So don't worry about the compression.
So so your voice without makeup is what everybody's looking for. Yeah,
right,
and then I do think, but I do think that there might be a DAW that has functionality that serves audiobook workflow. Any thoughts on that?
Well, there's a few. I mean, a lot of people,
what has punch and roll?
Right. Well, they all have punch and roll now. Twisted Wave has punch and roll, and Audacity has that, and Ocean Audio and Reaper. A lot of people like Reaper. Reaper is a nice one because you have to learn how to use it. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years and learned how to edit with tape and a reel-to-reel and a grease pencil and a razor blade. If you understand editing theory, these things are like drawing with crayons. If you have no idea what's going on, you've got a learning curve of what to do with these things. And so you want to keep it as simple as possible. Audacity is actually somewhat complex compared to some other software. Like if you're on a Mac, Twisted Wave is fabulous, super easy, as is Ocean Audio, and on a PC, there's Audacity works on that one too. And Adobe Audition is really good too. However, they are designed for people who actually understand what's going on in here with multi-tracking and music and things that you have nothing to do with. Your job is to look at copy, read copy, and become the copy, not try to make yourself sound the way you think other people want you to sound.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. I always want to say, and that's the truth. That's the thing. Yeah. Let's see. I think we might have addressed manager necessary in VO. So David asks, is manager necessary in VO, and what is the journey towards getting it? We talked a little bit about that. A manager is not necessary. However, as being into the first year of working with a management company, having had a 25-year career, it's a positive experience. I've had a very positive experience in terms of volume, in terms of ability to be in relationship with the team and what the opportunities are. And so it's been worth every extra penny in my experience of being able to take it to the next notch, but not immediately. I've been doing this for 20 years and I haven't had a manager, but it's good. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that, Mel?
Yeah, thanks. That's in the mutual here. I came from the agency model, and so I was like, manager, why do you need a manager? And after talking with Phil and Mark, I quickly realized that agency models work because there's a huge team effort, not just from my perspective is that an agency works like this. There's all sorts of different departments, and if one department's not performing, then the other departments pick up the slack. So let's say you're in an agency and I get a huge pandemic hits, and I guess all your theatrical work stops working. Managers, I'm trying to get to the point here, but voiceover is obviously a great area to get into if you're a manager, but it's just, if you're at an agency, then what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that managers are just going to work harder and get you to the next level. An agency is great, but it can only go so far because they have to keep in mind everything else, which is they have to keep in mind their other departments. So managers are all just 100% voiceover. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think what you might be saying is, depending on what level of voiceover agency you're at, like, coming from Abrams A3, that has all of the different departments in the entertainment industry, and they work together as part of that whole business model, whereas a voiceover management company then can diversify within the various aspects of voiceover, but it's all going to be focused there.
Thank you.
Is that accurate?
Yes, thank you. I can file my it's all there, little pieces. So there is always you were beholden to theatrical, commercial. So there's all little things that kind of factored into the voiceover department that I worked in versus the management company, where we're just 100% how we can get into promo. There's 3 different managers who handle promo right now. So it's like an agency within it. So there's different departments within the management company. But, I think it's important you don't need a manager. There's people who do just fine or making $500,000 without a manager. It's because, and it's not from their agency either. It's because they have marketing down, they have relationships, they develop relationships. But that's a really hard thing to do. Especially if you're coming from the outside and you don't already have those relationships established. There's plenty of people I can name who do just fine without any sort of representation. And that's because they had a background in commercials and all their buddies are producers at ad agencies or something like that.
Right. Which goes back to relationship, right? Yeah. Relationship. Yeah.
Right. And so it's just, I have the relationships with certain producers. It's about having a team that has different, so you want to have a varied representation. We have a client who has, he has a manager, he has an agent in New York, he has an agent in LA. He needs all 3, and he doesn't mind spending the extra 10% on each one because he makes $100,000 with us. He makes $100,000 with somebody else. But we fill in the gaps where you just need to fill in gaps everywhere. So the bigger you get, the more gaps you have. So you want to have, so if you're just making your money in one area, well, what if that one area suddenly dips? What are you going to do to recover that? And you have, your lifestyle, you have your mortgage payment.
Your portfolio.
Yeah. So you need to have a very
diversify your VO portfolio.
And he could drop one of us, but you wouldn't benefit him if suddenly, paradigm closes and he has to suddenly find something else.
Right. Well, and we laugh, but Eric just joined the ACM team because the scale department at William Morris, which has been there for 30 years plus, closed this year.
Yeah.
So it's not like that doesn't happen. So
you just don't know how your life is going to be affected. So you kind of you want to have as many irons in the fire, as they say, as possible without burning yourself. Obviously, you don't want to be like overextended and paying 10%.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So, you know, you want to have as many people working for you as possible. But if someone's not making you money, then please don't waste a single second, and you're not getting any sort of benefit from that, I guess. And also opportunity as well. So like if you're getting a lot of opportunities, but you're not doing anything, well, then you know, okay, then I need to do something to amp it up a little bit. So.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can shoot through some of these questions, because we've got about 15 more minutes. I think we might have answered this question. How do you get back on your agent's radar, gone from 5 to 6 auditions a week to 1 to 2 a month? I think that's just communication, right? There's communication, what's up, without being annoying, and having a positive, proactive approach. Or how can I help you approach? If that's like, you know, with the intention of making someone's day better, you know, how do you do the equivalent of ordering lunch, which might be sending a Grubhub thing or something like, oh, so-and-so, anonymous. Hey, that was so sweet. I was super hungry and now I've got this. Thanks. Anonymous. Oh, I've got an audition. Anonymous. I haven't, right? So like without being a kiss ass or having the intention of like, how do you just get and do something nice for the people who are on your team? And, you know, or go, hey man, gosh, just checking in because it seemed like things were flowing and now it's not. Just checking in, make sure everything's cool or anything I should, you know, you know, do you see what I'm saying? Like, how do you assume the best, make sure, you know, don't be annoying and, you know, assume that you're part of the team.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there's ways of doing it. I mean, obviously this is a different time. If we're talking about right now, pandemic wise, if it's gone down a little bit, it's because the agents are at home. They might not be seeing you. I don't know what the, think about what's changed. What's a factor that's changed? Are you just not getting any traction and you're not booking anything? Is that why you think maybe they could, you can always ask them though. You need to ask them directly. There's this guessing game and just say, hey, Am I still a benefit to you? Is there anything? Of course, you don't want to make an ultimatum like that, but you know, just kind of have a conversation, and then think about, okay, what are my options? Are they still benefiting me? Am I benefiting from them? Am I still an asset? And then you can start thinking about, okay, well, how can I, you know, because it's all about you. This is about you and how you can make your career, not about satisfying some agent here. Or manager. It's about your career. How are you going to feed yourself? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to do this? You know, what are you going to do for retirement? That's the most important thing. You need to take care of yourself. So if that's becoming the case, then you have to start exploring, okay, where else can I get these opportunities? And can I start building it for myself? Because no one else is going to do it for you. Oh, that's a different, it's a different world now. Agents used to be how you got everything, auditions, money, bookings. Now there's all sorts of different avenues to go to. There's LinkedIn now. There's
yeah, and I think that's also like, well, if things are shifting, then what can you do to be proactive and say, hey, I brought this, or I'm doing this, or I just did a workshop with such and so. If you want to follow, you know, so that you bring yourself as someone who's proactive and in motion. So
take a class. I mean, just take a class, or if you do take a class and you had a favorable experience, agents love booking people. They don't want you to not succeed. They want to have more bookings. They want to have people that are good book things and, you know, continue if they have a relationship with the teacher, like say it's Sarah Sherman, for example. I have no problem emailing Sarah. Oh, hey, I heard you took a class with so-and-so. I hope everything's okay. I love that opportunity to do that. So most agents and managers are like that. They'll look at any opportunity to get in touch with a producer or buyer of theirs if it's a positive experience, because it just builds their relationship too. So they're building relationships, you're building relationships. So it's just about having more time, and you never know when you're going to have something pop up where it's like, oh, Sarah really liked you. I'm talking about Sarah Sherman. I'm speaking about one specific producer, casting director. Sarah really liked you. She really wants you to try out for this audition. That just builds more rapport. And even if it doesn't work out, there was that positive experience that you had, the positive feedback. Just anything that goes positive and not negative, right? Yeah. Like Tish is very well. Positive.
Let's see if we can. Yeah. Here's a quick question. Let's see if we can, how to determine your VO age range. This is an interesting thing. And in terms of what genres your particular voice is suited to, Mindy, I think that you need to understand, well, what are the genres and how would you cast your voice? That's not necessarily for someone else to say. That's for you to know what you're bringing to the party. But Dan and Melanie, any thoughts about age range or how to determine where your voice would be most useful?
I have found that, especially with my voice and my age, most people who do the casting think I was dead 10 years ago. I'm going to be 64 this month, and I know I don't sound anywhere near 64. And I know I can say, if you raise your voice a little bit, you can sound younger, but if you're really old, it sounds old. And so you have to really know your own voice. And if you're a little bit older, if you've been doing this a long time and you're like over 60, you may have a harder time getting down into some of those lower ranges. But, it depends on how good you are at manipulating your voice.
I think at this point,
and for me, I think it's also okay.
Mm-hmm. No, please go ahead. Okay, well, I'll go.
I was going to say, I think, yeah, no, you go. You go.
All right. Well, I would say for me, the concept is so old now. When I cast for things, I don't really think about the age. And we don't even put the ages anymore because I don't want you to be concerned about that. That's the last thing I want you to be concerned about.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. That's the last thing you should be concerned about. If you're selling a product, obviously you don't want to sound like you're on death's door, or like you just got out of elementary school. But the most important thing is to be authentic to who you are. So unless you're, they want that, they want elementary school age. In which case, I probably think most people who are listening to this phone call should not audition for that. But it's not, I don't even care about that. We don't put age anymore. We don't want you to be concerned about how old you sound, because that gets in your head. That's the most, you don't want to be in your head. If you assign a number to what you're supposed to sound like, then you're thinking about, I have to sound this way. You say, okay, I need to sound youthful. Well, then, okay, I need to sound youthful. How do I sound youthful? Well, youthful sounds more, less careful, not as studied, or maybe more energetic, or have a different vibe, or have a little looser delivery. That's the most important thing, because I never know how old somebody is. I used to categorize people, 30s, 40s, 20s, 30s, because I had so many people to take care of. So if I put everybody down, then I'd have 500 auditions, and how would I go through that? But I found that nobody really cares about age anymore, unless they really want someone who sounds older. But you can sound older and still be 20s and still have that kind of delivery that you're like, he sounds pretty wise for his age. I think it doesn't matter anymore. I feel like that's just not it. I don't even include age anymore. So I guess that's my answer.
That's important. Yeah. Well, we're coming down to the last few minutes here, and there's lots of questions, because there's lots of great questions. Let's see. And Mel, I know you have a busy day, but sometimes if I'll take a couple minutes and try and answer things offline after we're done. If you want to, we'll shut down the call, go on mute, turn off video, so it will be as if we're not here. But if any of us have time, have time to just pop off a thing, and if not, we'll come back and answer. So let's see what else we can do. Let's see. What did I do here? Oh, these are just okay. Let's see if there's stuff. There's a question that would be. Has work been affected by the pandemic? I think it's just gotten more. I'm watching like Best Buy commercials that are animated now, that are just voiceover, that probably would have been that part would have been on camera.
I saw one last night where it was just two people in a still frame picture, and they were zooming in on different people, and they were
really? Diorama. Yes, excellent. Let's see. I think there's questions here about what are they, how do you work without men? What are they looking for? So just in general, Paula, one of the things that we say at the dojo is there is no they, there's only we. So removing this mindset of they are someone else, either as clients or your representation. There's only we. How can we be collaborating? How can we be working together? How can I be an asset of this collaboration? So if you come to it with mindset, how can I be a part of this growing concern? And I think just in summary of how can talent look like an asset? What's the best way to get representation? Have the goods. Take the initiative to ask what you want. Do it clearly. Do it kindly, so you're a person that someone wants to be around and have on their team. I call it bringing the canaries, right? I don't know. What are you bringing to the party? Bring something good. You bring the pumpkin pie. Yeah, sure. Are you making money? Are you bringing skill sets that are making money? Right. So think like, how are you bringing money? How are we going to make money together? And then it's relationship too. It's who do you know? And if you don't know anybody, then go meet people or ask people who know who they know, right? Get referrals, get to know people, get them to know you. And I think that's the best way to do it. Let's see.
I mean, this is
if you're not hitting the mouse.
I think getting to know you is a good start, Tish. I think getting to know you is a good start. Starting here is a good start if you're just getting started. Starting with VO Dojo is great. And, you get to meet me, you get to meet Dan, you get to meet you get to have a community around you. So join as many communities as possible, I think.
Start hanging out with the people who are doing the things. That's what we said. We do fight clubs. We do fight clubs twice a month. And we're moving to more in the new year. That's our working pro workout. Anyone can audit that. Come hang out with us. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if we can do one more question and then we'll wrap up. So haven't heard. Okay, we answered that. A lot of questions about haven't heard back. I think building relationships with representation is kind of like finding your significant other. Not everyone is for you, and you're not for everybody. And if they're not that into you, then go talk to somebody else, right? Because you can spend all of high school pining for somebody and they're just not that into you. And you want to be working with someone who's into you. You want to be working with someone who's excited to be hanging out with you and be working with you. So if you're not getting anything back, then ask again. If keep on running into them, keep on showing up. If it is someone that you are really interested in, and they should be interested in you, and they should know you. if you're not on someone's radar, keep on doing things that get on their radar. Keep on, meeting. Yeah.
That Woody Allen, where they're like, oh, I don't want to be a member of the club that will have me. You have to get over that. The club will have to go there. You belong to that club, because I mean, voiceover wasn't my first pick in life, but voiceover had me, so I'm gonna love voiceover very much.
And now it's become your life. Yeah. And then I think also don't be, if there's someone who's maybe not the giant agency that is your vision, get started, get working, start building relationships, and then if you grow or it doesn't work out, then move on. But say yes until it's time to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, and then Catherine's talking about this this question of how do we laser focus a representation should. So from my perspective, guys, and we'll wrap up because it is a little from my perspective, it's always knowing what you are looking for first. What are you looking for? What are you dreaming of? What intentions do you have? How do you like people? Like, how do you like to work with people? What makes you thrive? Answer those questions first, and then start asking who's like that, or when you start taking meetings, what I know what I'm looking for. But let's finish up with this. Let's finish up with this kind of question. How, once we have all our materials in alignment, how do we laser focus our representation search to increase the odds of finding the perfect match? How have you found your favorite talent? Maybe we'll finish up with that.
How do we laser focus to find the right representation?
If someone, in some ways it's, again, how does a talent laser, like how, or let's just answer that last part. How have you found your favorite talent? Let's finish with a little with anecdotes. You personally, as an agent or a manager, how have you found your favorite talent?
Okay, gosh, I'm trying to think of one example, but there's so many. Gosh, it's whoever strikes me as interesting, funny, unique. I found my favorite talent either through, oh gosh, that's a hard question. I'm sorry. Because there's so many different ways. There's more than one crack in the dam to get your way in. Mm-hmm. So my favorite way is always just seeing, what have they done? LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn a lot. I like checking that out, seeing how active they are on there. What do they post? How do they feel about things? Are they helpful? Are they nice? Do they seem to be a positive community person? And do they want to be a part of that? Because most of the time, if people are not positive and part of a community, they're kind of loners and they're out for themselves and they're not a team person. So, not that you have to be all social and on LinkedIn, but you can usually tell if someone has a bad attitude about something. Yeah. So, you want to just be a positive person. And that's what I like. Not everyone's like that. I like positive people. I like people who think, okay, I've hit some downturns. Okay, I'm going to turn this into a positive experience. Or how can I help people? How can I put a positive message out there? So my favorite aspect of any talent is positivity.
Excellent. I think that's, and then it goes back to meet the people and be yourself, and you'll find the right fit, right? Yeah. Well, we know everyone is super busy, so let's wrap up here. We do this every month, the first Wednesday of the month, unless there's something like an election or something like that. So you can put this on your calendar, 10 a.m. Pacific time, the first Wednesday of every month. And let's see, we're finishing up Fight Club. The last Fight Club of the year is coming up on Sunday because it's an encore. It's an encore with Tina Marasco from Sound and Fury. She's coming back. So all the player spots are sold out, but everyone's welcome to audit. If you're not on our Fight Club roster, go to the website, fill out an application. Demo, repped, and booking is the criteria to play. We have so much great stuff coming up in the new year. If you're just starting out, we are the January and February. You should do voiceover classes are filling up. If you are on your journey and want a place to come and focus what you are doing, the Mystery to Mastery program will be restarting in January. We can get you started, figure out how to get you started there. Yeah, so we are here. Oh, and then there seems to be a lot of working pros here. Our nth degree program, we have nth degree focus action forum, weekly workouts, and twice a month accountability amplification, effort amplification, focusing on what you want and then taking action on it. And we also have a few more openings for our nth degree intensive, which is a 3-day intensive that is like if you're at that place of have your skills moving into the working pro world, but not quite exactly where you want, you should definitely touch base with let's start with Diana and she'll point you in the right direction. But sign up for a voiceover once over and talk to us if any of this sounds interesting, and we'll point you in the right direction. And Dan, I think you put this in the chat before, but how can people stay in touch with you and how can you help them?
Well, you can go to homevoiceoverstudio.com. And and I have my specimen collection cup there, and if you can click on that and send me a sample of your audio, follow the directions for $25, I will analyze your audio and see if you are up to professional snuff with it, and maybe give you some suggestions on how to get it sounding the way it's supposed to sound.
Excellent. Good. And you also do coaching and can do studio consultations.
We do consultations. Well, someone needs.
If you're ready to get.
If someone needs complete instructions on how to set up a home studio, I also do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Mel, obviously a lot of people have a lot more insights from this discussion about how and when to contact you. But if someone is ready, how best to keep in touch with you?
Gosh.
Or even if someone isn't ready and is super smart and starts building relationship with you now, so when they're ready, you're like, I love you, let's go. So how do people keep in touch with you?
That will be my reaction, actually. I love it. Let's go. I would say I do not do Facebook, by the way. So Facebook, not political or anything. I don't have enough time for it. I just don't. It's not a political thing. It's a time thing. So I just don't do that. But LinkedIn's great. That's a great way of just being in touch with me. I get so many emails. I have to say that because I have, 7,000 people on LinkedIn I'm linked with, but they're all producers. There's voiceover and producers on there. I get a ton. I also have interns and people working for me to connect to things. I would say because I get deluged with a lot of messages. If I don't get back to you right away, just be patient. Email is great, but LinkedIn's probably the best for me. I see those a lot more regularly because I check in every day, see what's going on. Email is probably pretty good, but I think LinkedIn, if just like the initial contact, is good there. So you are not.
So is that how you'd prefer anyone who's on this call to reach out to you right now? LinkedIn?
On this phone call, for you all, you can have my email.
Oh, and there's Diana. Diana just put your LinkedIn. And then what is the best email for you? Oh, there we go.
The right one. So yes, for this phone call, but please let me know, because I don't see everyone on this phone call, and I don't have a list. Just let me know you saw me on this phone call, and we can talk there. So this is, of course, for you only. So this is between us. It's not like my email's not out there, but it's how I prefer. For anyone I don't know, I like LinkedIn better. And for you all, because you're all very special, you get to email me.
Yay. Excellent. Well, Dan and Mel, thank you so much for taking this time. And Diana, thank you for taking care of everybody in the background. We look forward to seeing you next month, seeing you at all the stuff that's going on. And seriously, give us a call if you're interested in anything else, voiceover, once over, and we'll get you set up for the new year. So thanks, guys. I think, you know what, I think we mostly answered questions. So I think we're just going to call it. We're going to call it. We're not going to do things. So come back next time, like in a friendly way, like, yay, come back next time and touch base with everyone directly. So, all right, guys, thank you. And
Happy holidays.
All right, have a good one.
Hey.
Everyone.
Yes,
Happy holidays.
holidays.
Okay.